Hello everyone, welcome to this week of Tunic Counter Gamers. We're going to do things a little bit different here. I'm going to share a story real quick about this topic. We're going to do a deep dive into the class of Runeblades. One of my favorite classes to play. I actually played Vincent for such a long time. And I remember one of our new players coming to the thing, reaching out to us saying, hey, I want to learn, I want to play. I was like, great. Do you want me to treat you like a normal person? All right, he looks at me kind of quizzically. He's like, why? All right, sure. Treat me like anyone else. I was like, great. This is in the game store at LGS, very big store. And of course, I have succumbed to temptation. And you also know my voice carries. So I was like, all right, man. His name's Brad. I was like, Brad, it's time to suck you off, right? Because I got the combo off. And that is a story. So the fun thing about the Runeblade class for me is you can always shout that at the loudest level, and it's completely innocent. So that's the cast for today, guys. So I don't know absolutely crap about Runeblade. We brought in the experts, Evan and Andrew. I'll let you introduce yourselves. My name's Will.
Hey, my name's Evan, and just so you guys know, I did not approve of that intro. It just said story time in the document.
Well, in all fairness,
story.
I didn't say it was a good story. In all fairness, the title of today's episode is It's Time to Suck to Temptation and Become the Arknight. And I like how the emphasis was on the become. A flesh and blood deep dive into the Runeblade class. Alright, so you can see that this show has really evolved over the course of the 42 episodes we were on. Anyways, thank you, Evan, for your introduction. I see Joda's joined us today.
Of course. Hey, come on. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah. And then we have a third and returning member who decided to so graciously accept our invitation to really raise up this cast. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Andrew. I like Runeblade.
he's still processing the story, I know. And I know Andrew. The reason why you like the Succ is because it reminds you of Buck Ease. Anyways, that's a stretch, but you know what I'm trying to say. So before we get to the main topic, what did we learn since last week, fellas?
Well,
Will's a
it's been like 5 minutes.
Was that the worst intro ever or the best intro? Comments down below, people.
Yeah, and like the video.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Yeah, somebody please keep track of how many times Will and Andrew make Succ jokes and comment below the number. I'm very curious.
Well,
anyway, moving on. What we learned last week, played the local armory, played my boy Lyath. That was a lot of fun. And I promised Will I'm gonna do it. Gonna do it on air, live to everybody right here.
Okay. I have no clue what he's about to say. All right, intervention. Go ahead.
All right. So Andrew, the three of us all were at the local armory, but you left a bit early. And afterwards, Will decided, you know what a good idea to use my money on would be? Let's buy some Guardian Mastery Pack. So he bought a box of Guardian Mastery Pack, okay? And immediately he opens it up, and lucky boy, he opens one of the expensive legendary cards. Mm-hmm. We all say, oh, good job, Will. Thankfully you opened that, because literally nothing else in this set is worth money. He looks up, he says, I want more. And he goes to buy a second box of Guardian Mastery Pack. Everybody in the store, Paul included, pleading him to stop, trying to grab away his credit card. Mm-hmm. But alas, he bought multiple Guardian Mastery Pack boxes.
So, to capitalize on that, I'll say this. It goes back to what Tommy told me of Siblings and Cardboard. He's like, Mastery Pack Guardian is the only set where if you buy $2,000 worth of Mastery Pack Guardians, you will break even. But in order to break even, you have to buy $2,000 worth of Mastery Pack Guardian. So, Level Up, our local game store, had a great sale. It was BOGO on clearance items, and they had Smash Palaces. And in Smash Palace, you have a whole bunch of Mastery Pack Guardian. So I bought 10 boxes of Smash Palace.
Oh.
It was great.
See, I didn't actually know that. I just knew that you buying a bunch of Guardian Mastery Pack, and now you're outing yourself, saying you bought 10 times more than I thought you bought.
I have broke even on Mastery Pack Guardian and have all the bulk and commons with it, so I'm pretty happy.
When you say you've broken even, do you mean that you've broken even, or do you mean that if you put all the cards together and calculate the value, the internet tells you broke even?
Andrew,
There is a difference.
yes, yes. I will say your way. If I put all the cards that are worth selling together, I broke even, right?
All right, let
And
me know when you sell them.
I sold one actually already. That's why I had
Oh.
Jeremy do the drop. Speaking of, when I mentioned drop, I realized that's not a phrase people use for cards. That's a phrase that people use for other substances. I had totally
Yeah.
so oops on that. Anyways, that was good. So what did you
Anyways,
learn in your
So
actual game with Lion?
that's the intervention. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we
What-
have to do the start.
Yeah. I guess now's a good time while we're going off topic to mention timestamps down below.
I could do that.
And yeah, if you want to skip ahead to talking about Runeblade, you can do that. Actual play, I played Lyath. For the first time in my life, I played a Lyath mirror against our Kadachi loving friend Jeremy. And the Lyath mirror was actually a lot of fun. I was kind of shocked because Lyath is like, I equate it to Azalea. And the Azalea mirror is like the most toxic and disgusting mirror in existence.
Hmm.
So I was kind of shocked to see the Lyath mirror was actually pretty cool and interesting.
Right on.
That's cool.
And then Andrew, what did you learn since last week?
I went to a battle hardened. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I got second out of battle hardened.
Well,
And the
you know
guy
what
that got
they say about-
first was playing my tech list
Oh no!
with one card change.
Well, here's the thing. I was also at the Battle Hardened, and I was the highest ranking guy named Evan.
Okay.
Were you the highest ranking guy named Andrew at the Battle
Oh,
Hardened?
that's cold.
I was the highest ranking guy named Lorenz. The battle hardened.
But really, wasn't
For those who don't know, our buddy Andrew Cook won the Battle Hardened,
Yeah.
and Lorenz got second.
man.
One.
But really, the true win is Jeremy, another day 2 champion, because his hat was actually on the picture, his little twirly hat. So
Yeah, no, yeah, I wore it for the top 8, but I lost in finals, so I was like, oh, please take the picture.
that's
And
great.
he's like, I agree. I also gave him like a power play to like carry him for the entire day. He like kept it in his coat pocket, and like he won. So clearly, like my
It's-
power play, PP for short, is good.
I was wondering why people were shouting that at the freaking army. It's like PP, PP. I was like, what the hell? That's worse than 6-7. What's going on? Anyways, so Andrew, what
This
were
was
you
our
playing at
local
the?
armory.
Yeah, what were you playing at the army, and what did you learn?
Oh, bro, I like played 3 different decks of 3 different armories this week.
Dang.
I played Kasai, Gravy, and Asilius.
Okay. Did you learn which one was the better deck to take to the calling in Columbus?
I'm taking Asilio, man.
Okay, I'll tell you now. So those that don't know me, I'll say now. There's certain things I don't know, and certain things I know a lot of. One thing I don't know is geography. Right. The second thing I don't know is the planets in our solar system. I mentioned this because I thought Columbus was in South Carolina.
There's a Columbus, Georgia, that's in the South Georgia.
Yeah.
It's kind of like South Carolina.
Well, I'm getting Columbus and Columbia mixed up, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going
There
to.
is an RTN, I think, this weekend. Or no, next
Yeah.
weekend in Columbia,
Silly
South
Will.
Carolina.
I know.
Columbia's in South America, not South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I learned that KO is probably what I'm going to still take to the RTN, but I also learned that Tough Nut is a tougher nut to crack than I thought. So it's actually a little complex deck for what you would simply say get rid of your hand and bonk with rock, right? So I'm working on 2 decks. One's Kidney Stone, which was all yellow based. It did not work. And it was playing Bonehead Barrier, right? So
Oh.
that's Ning and me was laughing sorry because he said it wasn't going to work. I was like, dude, it's genius. It was like, it was absolute crap because I forgot that you can't play rock unless you have no cards and you have to pitch. You have to play rock, right, with no cards in hand. I mean, you can't attack and then pitch. It's you pitch to attack. You know what I mean, right? So
We finally got him to stop rolling scabs, and he puts Bonehead Barrier in his deck.
oh,
Are you
such-
going to the Pro Tour in Vegas this year?
I'm going to try, I think.
Do you want me to like hold your wallet while you're there? I can do it if you need me to.
So once you learn, so I used to play poker. I think people know this, and I'm always open with this. When I didn't learn boundaries, I did lose a paycheck on a game of poker. So it was this is
And you had to eat onions.
I ate onions, a bag of onions, and ketchups I filched from the store, like the little ketchup packets. I was like, dude, it's so bad. That's all I had in the house, was like old onions and ketchup packets. So that's what I learned. Tough nut's harder to crack than you think. But let's go ahead and go on with the overview of the Runeblade class. We normally record on Saturday, guys, but we're slap happy at Thursday nights.
Yeah,
So
you know, everybody
Long
came here
class.
for Runeblade, and now they learned not to gamble too much, or you eat ketchup and onions.
well, ketchup and onions is fine, just not because you lost your paycheck on a game. Mind you, I was also
For
like
a
20 plus
week?
years ago. Yeah. All right. So overview of the
Runeblade.
Runeblade class. Who wants to take this one?
I'll start. So Runeblades, they make these things called runechant tokens. So when you pull up a runechant token, so
I
you
would
can
sure
extend
love
arcane
to.
damage to the members of the class that don't know what arcane damage is.
All right. Rune Chance. I thought they made something else called Soul Shackles. I'm just joking. In a second.
That's just one dude. Ooh, and we have the proper errata version. Good. Yeah. So Runeblades are the one class in the game that LSS intentionally made to use a mixture of physical and arcane damage. And their primary way of doing arcane damage is in the form of these things called rune chants. So rune chants are just auras that say whenever you play an attack action card or activate a weapon attack, you destroy the rune chant and you deal 1 arcane damage to target opposing hero. So what you'll know is like it does 1 arcane damage per aura. It's 1 instance of arcane. So for those who don't know, arcane damage is different from physical damage in that it has to be prevented by either damage prevention effects in general or arcane barrier effects. And since it does instances of 1, it can be prevented with 1 piece of arcane barrier, even if you have 10 plus rune chance.
Yep. So when people use their dice to signify there's 7 arcane damage come at you, it's not a good old clump of KO based arcane damage. It's 1 instance of damage 7 times.
Yeah.
And you would need to, if you use something like Arcane Barrier 1, you would need to pitch for 7 resources if you would want to block all of it in that instance.
Yeah, and each Runeblade has their own little way of generating rune chants.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Because now we can talk about the, offensive strengths of Runeblades.
Yes. So
I guess quick, before we talk about that, a little history on Runeblades. Just because I'm a little history nerd, love my history. Runeblade was one of the initial sort of 8 classes in the game. It first came in Arcane Rising, which introduced arcane damage, second set in the game. And when it came out, Runeblade was a very exciting new class everybody was really hyped for, and was one of the worst classes in the game by far.
It was the worst one at the release of Arcane Rising, hands down.
Yes, it definitely was. Assassin came much later.
Okay.
Yeah, Assassin is the second most recent class.
Yes.
Actually,
well, I guess Pirate and Thief are also classes. So
Thieves aren't real.
I mean, but yeah, so Runeblade came out. It was absolutely terrible. LSS said, oh, Runeblade isn't good. We got to help him out. Let's help him out. So then 2 sets later, Runeblade is the most broken class in the game. And we said, okay, LSS, you can stop now. And James White, he looked at me and he said, what? I can't hear you. And then 2 sets later, once again, they wouldn't stop breaking Runeblade. For a long time, Runeblade was by far the most broken class. And the next set came out, and Runeblade continued to be broken and even more broken. Then we had sort of a long drought from, what was it, 2022 to 24? Of like no Runeblades.
Yeah, I'd say it was about the release of Dusk Till Dawn up until Rosetta.
Yeah.
Wait, there was a Runeblade.
There were 2. We'll get to it later.
Yeah. But there was sort of this like era where Runeblade went from like one of the most broken classes in the game to being basically a non-existent class. And then Rosetta did quite a lot for the class. So it went once again from a non-existent class to the most broken class in the game. A couple heroes LL'd, and now it's kind of sitting in this weird mid-tier category right now. Yeah. So there are good Runeblades right now. There are bad Runeblades right now. We'll talk about them, but
bad.
it's a little brief history lesson.
That's a lot of S's.
Been said is
class
bad,
2
right?
heroes.
So, all right, and before we jump right into the main topic, again, Evan, thanks for shouting out the timestamps. We like to break this down into offense cover strength and weaknesses, defense cover strength and weaknesses, kind of cover the key cards, and then we break down the specifics about each hero individually. Since Sage is coming out when this series is kind of going forward, we're going to focus mainly on CC first, and then we're going to do a light touch on Sage, and then we'll also do another light touch on LL, just to give everyone the deep dive into the Runeblade class. All right. Go ahead, Andrew.
All right. So, probably want to start off with some of the offensive strengths of Runeblade. And probably the first thing I'd say is that they have some of the highest ceilings you'll see in Flesh and Blood. Like, Viserai, for example, when he was, like, legal in CC at the end, he was literally doing, like, 5-card 30s, like, damage turns. And, like, that was just a thing they had in CC. And they're like, yep, that's fine. Those were great times. And what make things even more annoying, too, is that a lot of that damage was based in arcanes. And so, it's one thing to have 30 damage come at you when you're like, all right, I drew 5 sink blows somehow. I'll block, 20 damage and be fine. But, when your opponent's throwing arcane damage at you, you don't exactly get to just do that. You're going to, look at your hand and be like, I drew 4 sink blows. This sucks because half of this is arcane, and I'm at 10. I'm going to die.
Yeah, and they're
that's
tricky sort too. So
yeah, it also means too that if you want to block arcane damage from a Runeblade, you're giving up access to the resources for your next turn. If you need a blue to have a functional turn, say for example Kasai, they need a pitch card to have a super good turn. You just can't block the arcane. It's just inevitable.
And so I know sometimes when they go into their offensive strength is, since you're doing that split damage, a lot of the opponents will say, okay, I'm not going to even AB in anything appropriate. I'm going to try to race the Runeblade down, which then you're playing right into the Runeblade's game plan, right? How many times have you guys played a game and they're like, oh, I'm not going to AB this turn, and I'm going to just go ahead and try to get you dead before anything else, right? So
it works sometimes. Biggest deck for that.
Yeah, it gets into some of the defensive strengths of Runeblade, but aggroing down a Runeblade is very hard because they have good armor. We'll talk about that in a sec.
Yeah.
Offensive strengths. I definitely agree the split damage. I think the way I sort of explained it, and Andrew doesn't like this because LSS messed up in a couple areas, so it's not necessarily true. But Runeblade is a class where the identity is they get everything, but they're not excellent at anything, right? They get arcane damage, but they only get it in 1 or 2. You don't get a big 6 arcane damage like Burn Bear card like wizards get, right? They get physical damage small go again attacks 0 for 3 go agains, but you don't. A lot of them are kind of conditional, right? Like Swarming Gloomveil. They get big attacks with disruptive effects, but once again, they're not as disruptive and not as big as Guardian, for instance. Runeblades get everything,
and
technically they're not better than every other class at anything.
Yeah,
but they do get everything. So if there's a certain part of the game that you like, Runeblade definitely has it.
And it's funny you mention that because they even get a lot of good disruption, hand disruption, and everything else. But there's a lot more conditions on that than simply just swing in, a card. And one was the Succumb to Temptation, my favorite card in the set or in the class. So, all right, anything else you want to cover with the offensive strengths?
No.
All right. Then how about some of the offensive weaknesses?
So you know how they can do 5-card 30s? That also means they can do 5-card 4s. Yeah. So you see
the term Runeblade hand is called a Runeblade hand for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Runeblades have some of the trashiest looking hands you'll ever see a hero have in Flesh and Blood. They're not as bad as 0 arrow ranger hands, but
Yes. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, in essence, Runeblades, a vast majority of Runeblades have this sort of non-attack action, attack action split, where it's you need to run both. And when you get like a good combination of attack actions and non-attack actions, like you deal 30 damage turn, it's awesome, right? What Andrew was mentioning. But if you get 4 non-attack actions or 4 attack actions that require you to have some amount of non-attack actions in your hand in order to function, then your hand falls apart. And yeah, as he said, 4 card 4 is kind of a thing. So we call those Runeblade hands. Some Runeblades are better about not getting those hands than others, but it is possible for all Runeblades to draw Runeblade hands.
And I'll tell you now. Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, like another thing too is that because of like the attack and non-attack thing, it means that if they want to close out a game, you know, a lot of heroes will be playing like attack reactions, you know, it'd be like pummel for the game. Runeblade, you don't get to play pummel, hopefully, if you're Will.
Is that a challenge?
True.
It's not a bad idea. It's like Bonehead Barrier or Prism playing yellow pummels. No, these aren't good ideas.
Guys, he was running Bonehead Barrier in his brute deck. Somebody stop him.
It would work. Anyways, yeah, I would say also with Runeblades, you don't have a choice when you brick your hands. It's not like I chose to roll scabs and roll the 1, right? It's my fault. But with Runeblades, you just inherently have a bricked hand, and then your tempo gets lost. You might be putting your pressure on your opponent, and that's one of those offensive weaknesses. When you have an off turn, your opponent can come right back, and then they can even switch the game plan on you. And we see this a lot with Vincent, and we'll talk about that later, where you could just, let me go fatigue, because Vincent can't lay out as much damage. She's known to brick her hand just as hard as anyone else. So, all right. And
I think outside of that, like, once again, like, Runeblades, they're good at everything. They're not great at anything. And certain Runeblades have distinct weaknesses that other Runeblades do not. For instance, there are lightning Runeblades and there are earth Runeblades. And it's like the earth Runeblades, like let's say Florian, aren't great, don't have like that much go again. The lightning Runeblades, that is not a problem. So it's more of like a class-based thing, or not class-based, but hero-based, where like weaknesses on offense and defense are kind of hero by hero because there's so much diversity in all the Runeblades.
Yeah. So you guys have here under weakness, the offensive weakness, something called Warmonger's Diplomacy.
Yeah, so
I'd love to pull that up for you guys.
I don't like that card. It's a mean card. But it's like one of the things about Runeblades is like you already have consistency as an issue. So you know what is even worse than like being inconsistent is drawing the best hand ever, and then your ninja opponent does their 20 damage turn and ends with this bitch. Yeah, Will, why don't you read this to the class, because I'm not reading it.
Okay, it's a blue pitch, 0 cost, generic action that blocks for 3. I think that's why you play it, right? No, I'm just joking. You're here to learn. So you start with the hero to your left, meaning your opponent, because this is not arena or whatever it is. Each hero chooses war or peace. If they choose war, the only actions they may play or activate during their next turn are weapon and attack actions. If they choose peace, the only actions they may play or activate during their next turn are non-weapon, non-attack actions.
As a ranger player myself, I also hate this card. So you and I, Andrew, have solidarity.
Token, I don't want to look at it anymore.
But yes, a pretty card.
It goes back to. It does go back to the like we were talking about how Runeblade hands. It's like, oh, if you have all one or all the other, all attack action, all non-attack, then sometimes your hand breaks. Warmongers forces your hand to break. So
yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, and like that, it's not just like Warmonger's Diplomacy. Like, what are those cards called? Disruption in general can be quite annoying. Like sometimes like you'll be like, oh, I have my 1 non-attack in Arsenal, and then your opponent plays Command and Conquer, and you're like, this sucks. I want to go home. Mom, take me home.
Yeah.
Wah.
So, but it seems like overall, the high ceiling, the split damage, the little bit of everything, you know, there's a reason why these degenerates keep on playing Runeblades. Cough, cough, Andrew. So, can you just happen to modify your deck to really play up to the strengths and decrease the offensive weaknesses? Or is that one of those things where you'll just brick naturally once every 10 games or something, regardless?
So that's like the actual like thing you have to do as a puzzle in deck construction. Another thing too you have to consider is that you have to ask yourself in deck construction in each individual matchup, how much am I willing to like lean into variance. Because some matchups, it may be that if you do not kill your opponent on like turn 3 or whatever, or like get them in like into blocking mode by turn 3, they're going to outvalue you and you lose the game on the spot. And so maybe you have to lean into that variance, and the way you lean into that is you're going to be different based upon every Runeblade, because Runeblade is one of the most varied classes in this game as well.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the defensive strength.
The armor, their armor is bullshit.
I prefer the term great.
Yeah,
I like
remember when I said oh, Runeblades, like they're not the best at anything. They're just like pretty good at everything. Well, LSS messed up and gave Runeblade the best set of armor out of any class in the game, like bar none.
Guardian can compete with that.
Guardian can compete with it like pure numbers, but like
Stalagmite plus Crown of Seeds is really messed up.
I mean, yeah, but one of those is banned in an Earth card and not like a Guardian
Hey,
card.
Runeblade's got some bad cards too.
But yeah, so Runeblade gets like a suite of armor. Like we can pull up Grasp of the Arknight, which is one of the most broken pieces of armor of all time. Like their armor suite blocks extremely well, has a lot of additional utility as well. Like Grasp of the Arknight here, 2-block Battle Worn, so it doesn't even get destroyed.
Yeah, I love that.
And then for 2 resources, you can create a rune chant token, as long as you don't have a bunch of rune chants already. So there are some Runeblade heroes that don't really do rune chant based things, like Aurora, for instance. Even those heroes are rune chant heroes because of Grasp of the Arknight. So this card is insane.
Also blocks for has Battle Worn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you guys know that Grasp of the Arknight is Battle Worn and it blocks for 2? So it doesn't even get destroyed, and you have 3 value on the block value alone. Now, including if you have a clunky ass hand, you can pitch 2 resources and make rune chant. So I'm hearing that this is not just a 3 value card. This is upwards of anything for how long the game goes. That's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, certain heroes, like for instance, like Florian, use it better than others. But no matter what hero, this is a good card. They also have like Face Purgatory, which is one of the strongest headpieces of all time as well.
The argument when it first came out was it as good as Gabskins? No.
Scaling Flesh Bag.
Scaling Flesh Bag, thank you.
I would argue it's worse than Scaling Flesh Bag, or they're good against different things.
Yeah.
But it depends. Scaling Flesh Bag is good against small go-again attacks. Yeah. This is good against very big attacks. So.
And I would say the art would be favored on Face Purgatory.
Yeah, can you pull up the extended art Face Purgatory, or are we just going to have to look at this version?
I don't even know how to do that in February.
Oh, okay. But anyway,
can you pull up Betsy?
Oh, wait. I got this. How's this one? There you go.
Oh, cool. So now I can read the card better. So Face Purgatory is a block 2 headpiece with Blade Break. And when this defends together with an attack action card and a non-attack action card, the attacking hero discards a card and you draw a card. So what's great about this...
theoretically, if they're swinging for 8, for instance, you get full value out of your entire block. You block with a non-attack, an attack, and this. They discard a card, you draw a card. Like, how much value is that if you get full value blocking, Andrew?
That's a lot. I can't count that high, bro. I got like 10 fingers.
You got toes? You got toes?
Oh, shit. Hold on, let me pull up the toes.
No.
Bro, I can't count that high. I only learned single digits.
But yes, Face Purgatory is really good against like really big attacks. But either way, it's like equipment that disrupts your opponent is just absolutely insane, right? Like if you sniff out your opponent has a pummel in their hands, you Face Purg the pummel away, and you still get the draw card as well. Yeah, this card's insane.
And I know you guys mentioned a high ceiling before. The more knowledge you have of your opponent's deck, right? You place a Face Purgatory at the right time, even if you're not getting the full value, you wreck their turn. And you set yourself up because you get that card. So you even filter out a little bit of your hand. Get rid of the needless ones, bring in a card that you might actually need to set up for future turns.
Yeah,
right.
And your opponent has to play around this card the entire time it's there.
Yeah.
Even if you yourself do not know how to play this card, or we'll say, because we're nice, that you just drew a hand of all attacks, you can just like sit there with your Face Purgatory and it's like, well, are you going to play into it? And it'll just play differently to play around it.
Yeah. Okay. I also know when I was playing Vincent, I focused a lot on the defensive side of Vincent, so I could always at least swing like a 2-card 9, 2-card 8 minimum with her mechanics. It was just like defend, swing 2-card 8, 2-card 9. So I know they have really solid defensive cards, not only dealing with the equipment. My favorite one, and the one I personally love the most because it works so well with the gloves, is this card. Reduce the rune chant. Red pitch, you never go and pitch it unless you need to. 1 cost. It's a Runeblade defense reaction. It is expensive. Defense reaction for 4. And reduce rune chant costs 1 less resource to play for each rune chant you control. And if you think that's it, it creates a rune chant token. So really, this is a 1 card 5 value.
Yeah. Something that's also pretty cool about it is that ability is worded in such a way where if for whatever reason reduce the rune chant would technically cost more than 1, like say for example, your opponent has given you a frostbite token, but you have 2 rune chants out, you just play reduce the rune chant, pops the frostbite, makes a rune chant, and it still costs 0.
Dang. Dude, I'd never even thought about that, man. So,
Yep.
but they have that new card, the Taya.
Yeah, it gets around to Taya too.
It does get around to Taya. That's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
Here's the funny thing, though, Will.
What's up?
You think we're done? You moved on to defense reactions. You silly fool. You think we're done talking about armor?
Oh no! What do you got for the armor?
We'll get around to it later, man.
All right, go ahead.
No, I'm just kidding. But like, there is so much broken armor. For instance, Andrew, you know, they've got so much good blocking armor. There's no way they're good at blocking arcane damage, right?
I don't know. What's the Spellbound Creepers card he pulled up, man? I can't read that. My eyesight's not good enough.
I was alluding to a different card, but
but we're at Spellbound Creepers now, so you're
no. I think we go with the other hot lady on the card.
Oh, Dyadic Carapace? Oh yeah. So you see, Runeblades have this card that like pretty much every other class in Flesh and Blood would actually shank you in the back alley after the tournament for, called Dyadic Carapace.
Speaking of shanking someone in the back alley, the way this lady's looking, I'm just saying, fellas. Sorry, off topic. Go ahead.
Anyway, yes,
respectfully,
this baddie right here has temper and blocks too, so it's already free life there. Yeah. And you know, in case your opponent's playing arcane damage, it has arcane barrier too, because you know why not? Yeah. I don't mean like arcane barrier 2 as in the 2 with the 2 O's. No, 2 as in TWO.
Yeah, this is legitimately one of the most broken cards of all time, because like, you know, a lot of side, like, it just condenses so many sideboard slots. If you want arcane barrier 3, this is 2 of the arcane barrier, and then if you want to block well against like on hits, this also does that. So this is 3 sideboard cards in 1, and that's insane. So
wait, you said arcane barrier 3. What would you place for your third source of arcane barrier?
Sometimes people run an AB1 source, right?
Yeah, like
you're talking about the Quill Hand. Yeah, okay.
Like our great card Vexing Quill Hand, because Evan decided to read the key cards section ahead of time for some reason. So you may be saying, well, when would I not play Grasp of the Arknight because we've been glazing that card hard? Well, you see, this Vexing Quill Hand card is an Arcane Barrier 1 arm piece that you can just destroy to create 2 Rune Chant tokens for free. And you'll know earlier when we saw Reduce the Rune Chant that text and says it's costs 1 less to play for each Rune Chant you control. That's actually a theme for the Runeblades in Arcane Rising. And so being able to use this to create 2 Rune Chant tokens can actually basically be the equivalent of like making an attack cost 2 less whilst also dealing 2 damage. Which, yeah, like Hardened Crosstrap and Goliath Gauntlet are banned in Silver Age for a reason. And like this card can be both at the same time and also be Null Rune Gloves.
Yep.
Completely balanced, not at all a design mistake.
We're not even done talking about Runeblade's armor. How about this? How about we all compromise not to read the boots, but we just give the general idea?
So
I'll tell you one thing about the boots, and this is the difference between a Runeblade player like me and a Runeblade player like Evan and Andrew. It's the way they use the boots. They are like, you know, those people that, you know, play instruments and it sounds great. I'm like those kids that play the recorder and it's all sharp and shit. Anyways, there's a difference. So the boots is a very important thing in how you play Runeblades, and you could grow in that. High ceiling applies to those boots specifically as well. Anyways, Andrew, carry on, please, about the boots.
Yeah. Can you please pull up Spellbound Creepers again so I can share the rest of the class?
I didn't want to hurt your brain looking at the small print.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a 1-block leg piece. It has a lot of text on it. So the way it works is step 1, you have to block with an attack action card, or you have to attack with an attack action card.
Okay.
Step 2, you can activate it.
Okay.
It costs you 1 resource, and all that does is let you play your next non-attack as though it were an instant.
Oh, that's not very strong.
It lets you get extra action points because the non-attacks all have go again, or balance around the idea that they wouldn't have go again. So if they have go again, or no, you're playing them without giving up an action point, that's really messed up.
Yeah. So now, the go again is, again, shorthand for get an action point. So if you play as an instant, instances don't use action points. So you, in essence, as Andrew was saying, end up with 2 action points.
Yeah. Now, you may be saying, oh, God, at least they can only do it once, right? No, it just gets a counter. And at the end of your turn, this card looks at how much arcane damage you've dealt this turn. And if you've dealt, enough if you've done arcane equal to or greater than the number of counters on it, just keep it. And no, at the end of your turn, not the end of each turn, So, something, for example, you saw in the past, back when frostbites were a thing, is you would block with an attack action card, get a frostbite, you'd pitch a blue, pay 2 resources to activate this. You have 1 resource left. You play Tome Fiendal from your arsenal, draw 2 cards, gain 4 life, blow up the frostbite. That was an actually very common play line back in I think 2023, whenever Everfest came out. So it's probably actually 2022.
2022.
I'm old. How old am I?
Well, you're not as bad as old man Evan over there. Back in his day, he's been playing a long time.
This freaking guy.
But yeah, no, generally you can tell somebody's good at Runeblade if they have 4 counters on this or something somehow.
Yeah.
What's the highest number you've ever gotten?
5, I think.
5 counters? This guy's a freaking legend.
So here's the thing. Or you can get the action point. You can get the action point and just block with it the next turn because you don't feel confident in your ability to maintain these boots, right?
I mean, that
is also a valid play, to be honest. Yeah. That does happen. So we've spent a long time talking about the defensive strengths of Runeblade, and all we've been doing is every single slot we've talked about equipment for arms, legs, chest, and head. So yes, the Runeblade equipment suite is absolutely busted. And legitimately, there are certain matchups. I remember I would play Azalea versus Aurora, and you would think oh, I have red in the ledger. That stops the go again. This must be a really good matchup for Azalea. But because of the equipment suite that Aurora has, it was not a good matchup at all, solely because of how much equipment they had.
Yeah. And to go, I know we kind of skipped ahead earlier. I was mentioning the defensive reactions, but there's also other things. Their defensive abilities, if you tech them out for it, they got Haunting Rendition, which let me pull that up real quick.
They actually, we talked about, we were just talking about armor, but when it comes to defensive cards, they have a lot of really, really powerful defensive cards. Haunting Rendition is a good example.
And then I know if people played Aurora or played against Aurora, well, Haunting Rendition is the red pitch, but you're not really ever pitching it. You do have a Runeblade block, so don't arsenal this fellas. It's a 4 defensive value. Instant discard this, prevent the next 2 damage that we deal to you this turn. The first time you prevent damage this way, create a rune chant token. And the next 2 damage, so if they deal 1 damage over, that next damage does carry over to the next chain link. So then the last defensive reaction is Sigil of Suffering. All right. This is a red pitch, 0 cost, Runeblade defense reaction, only a 3 block. This sucks. Psych, deal 1 arcane damage to the attacking hero. If you have dealt arcane damage this turn, Sigil of Suffering gains +1. Damn. With Reckless Swing, you have to at least discard a card to deal 2 damage back to them. So
yeah, this? No, it just does 1 arcane. And so you're guaranteed 4 value from it.
Yeah.
No matter what. And what's also great about this too is that you just have to deal arcane damage in the turn. It doesn't even have to be from the Sigil of Suffering. So if you draw 2 Sigil of Sufferings, you're play a Sigil of Suffering, gets a dude with 1 resource. They're all right, I'll give it up to prevent this. You'll be okay, second one. And they're like, well, I can't prevent that. And then the other one just starts blocking 4, and you just 2-card 5 to your opponent on defense. And you're like, I thought you were sucked at blocking. And I'm like, bro, you have clearly not watched Tunic Counter Gamers episode 42.
Subscribe, by the way.
Dude, I gotta say, that was probably the smoothest ass shout out I've ever heard. For you guys, this guy, like, and the follow up, Evan, you guys, like, this shit was not rehearsed. I'm like, you give a shout out better to this show than I ever did. Damn.
Yeah.
I gotta take lessons for you guys. I'm ashamed. That.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that being said, one thing you'll note about all these, defensive cards is as cool as they are, if you run, enough of them, you're going to start running into that whole consistency issue even harder, because it's already hard enough to draw an attack and non-attack together. It gets a lot harder whenever 9 cards in your deck block 4.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a part of the issue. So yeah, certain heroes that care about the non-attack attack split can't run too many of these, but basically every single Runeblade runs some amount of D-reacts or defensive cards, and it is made up of the cards that I've sort of mentioned.
Yeah. All right. So that's the defensive strength, and you already covered the weakness. It's always going to be the defensive tools. The more you run it, as great as they are, increases that consistency issue. So you might be strong at blocking, but if you always block, you're going to lose anyways, right? All right. So what key cards have we not mentioned that we want to bring up and kind of tell our people to keep an eye out for?
I think the first one to talk about would be the last inventory piece we haven't really discussed, Reaping Blade.
Yeah. And
yeah, so Runeblade has had many weapons through the years, but almost all of them are gone now because of the Living Legends system.
Thank God.
Incorporating, signature weapons. Some people would even say that the entire system was created because of Runeblade.
It was created because of Runeblade.
I blame
Chris because
personally.
of Briar.
It was
actually, that's true.
Clearly.
Yeah, I mean,
anyway,
Luminaris is...
Yeah.
And we can go on and on.
This is the Runeblade episode. This is my happy place. So Reaping Blade is the sole survivor Runeblade weapon that isn't attached to a hero yet. Don't give them any ideas. But it's just a simple once per turn in action, pay 1, attack, attacks for free. And it has this cute little text box that says, if a hero has more life than any other hero, they can't gain life. And you think
sometimes this is bad.
So
yeah, Florian, has a small sub-theme of life gain cards from his Earth side.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's kind of sad about that. But usually this is a plus side, because back in the day, there was this really messed up, evil, mean card called Count Your Blessings.
Oh.
And every deck, for those of you kids that didn't have to live through this, bro, you live in a world that's better than the world I lived in 2 years ago or whatever.
Andrew, it got banned half a year ago.
Yeah, I'm sure if we asked Paul what Count Your Blessings does, he'd be like, I already forgot, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but Reaping Blade is a really good 1 for 3 is just a really good rate. It also lines up super well with your Grasp of the Arknight, right? Since that costs 2 resources to make a rune chant, and then this costs 1 resource. So that means that if you have a blue in hand, you can do both of them. So yeah, Reaping Blade is kind of the default Runeblade weapon at the moment for most heroes that don't have anything better to do.
Yeah. And honestly, the cost curve fits really well for a lot of the cards that the Runeblades like to play anyway. So,
I mean, I think that's mainly just because all the Runeblade decks have been morphed to fit into this cost curve over time.
Yeah, that's fair. So we mentioned it earlier in passing, but Swarming Gloomville. It's a red pitch, 0 cost, 3 attack, 3 block. If you have played or created 1 or more auras this turn, Swarming Gloomville gets go again. If you have played and or created 2 or more, it gains +1 power. If you have played and or created 3 or more auras, it gains when this hits a hero, they can't prevent arcane damage from sources you control this turn. Thankfully, they stopped it at 3 or more because I know, again, the higher number of counting. So, all right. Obviously, this is a great card.
Yeah, so what you'll know is with Grasp of the Arknight, you can just pitch a blue to Grasp of the Arknight, play this, it has go again because you've made an aura, and then you swing your Reaping Blade, and that's still just a simple 2-card 7.
Oh, nice.
If you have some other way to create an aura, suddenly you're talking about a 2-card 8, and 2-card 8s are pretty
I still remember when this card came out because we had We had Monarch come out, and Runeblade was busted. We said, please stop. Please make Runeblade worse. Then Tales of Aria came out, and Runeblade was even more busted. And then Everfest came out, and we said, please stop giving Runeblade broken cards. And then they came out with this, and we said, why, James White? Why have you forsaken us?
But counterpoint, do you think you'd
Yeah.
love Lexi so much if it wasn't for the fact she has a good Runeblade matchup and Runeblade was good?
That's
Like,
true. We did
imagine
have
a
good
world where
Runeblade
Prism
matchup.
was the best deck. You wouldn't even think about Lexi.
You know what? Thank you, James White, for making Runeblade.
Yeah. But you know,
Right.
something similar to this Swarm and Gloomveil is Rune Rager Swarm, which just says if you've played or created an aura this turn, this gets go again, and it's the exact same cost curve as Swarm and Gloomveil. Granted, it's also a common, so you know it comes in yellow and blue.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
like, you know,
Swarming Gloomveil is so broken that bad Swarming Gloomveil, which is, you know, Red Rune Ragers, also sees play. Like,
yeah, you know, like you versus the girl she tells you no, sorry, you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. Yeah. The guy she tells you not to worry about Swarming Gloomveil.
yeah.
All right.
Though
I'm
the
with
different
you-
colors of Rune Rager Swarm did see play, so
Yeah.
it being coming in multiple colors was kind of big. So
Let's talk about a contentious card real quick before we jump to one of my favorites, and that would be your good old Deadwood Dirge. So banned, you know, banned again, restricted. I mean, it's not that
It
good,
turned
right?
it every time. It turned it every time. This is one of the dumbest cards in this game.
So it's a rainbow sweep first off. So red, yellow, blue. It's red pitch, 0 cost, 2 block, Runeblade action. So it's great mix. You know, it's what you need. Destroy an aura you control. If you do, create 3 rune chant tokens. Go again.
what's really
Yeah.
funny is I don't think Deadwood Dirge is broken. I think it's the glue piece that makes other broken cards more broken.
Yes,
If
so
that
remember
makes
when I was
sense.
talking about Vexing Quillhand? This is
Yeah.
Vexing Quillhand on a card, basically. And all you have to do is have an aura. You'll note, too, some auras are bad to have. Like, for example, Codex of Frailty creates a Frailty token under your control, which is, you know, very mean. I can't believe, like, Rangers would do something so rude. But with Deadwood Dirge, that Frailty token can turn into 3 rune chants to make my Amplify the Arknight cost 0 to play. And suddenly I just 2-card 9 this guy.
Yep.
And the funny thing about that is, you know, people don't understand that you can destroy an aura you control, right? They see, oh, it's obviously an aura I control. But if they give you an aura, using this, it is demoralizing on some levels to the opponent because they didn't even consider that. Yeah, so seems pretty dang good so far.
Cool interaction with it is with Spellbound Creepers. If you have already attacked previously in a turn, and then you play your second attack, you'll trigger your rune chant tokens. You can activate Spellbound Creepers and sacrifice the rune chant token that's already triggered. The trigger doesn't care that the rune chant token's not there. It still resolves if pros win arcane.
Yeah,
It's
and and for those people that don't quite understand it, I want you to take the time, if you're not driving, listening to this, to go back and re-listen to it. All right, because I'm gonna have Andrew say that one more time because it's important. This is what
It's
people get
super
confused on. When I played Vincent, when I played Florian, and I did that interaction, I had judges called on me so many times that I cannot fathom. And people are thinking, oh, it's only 1 damage. No, it is so much better than that. So,
So
Andrew, can you
much
repeat
more.
that one more time?
So I think an easy way to explain this would actually be if we do a quote-unquote practical example of this. Oh, bro, pull up the white text. What the hell?
Oh,
Can you pull up the card Malefic Incantation for me? Because this card's going to be brought up eventually anyway, so might as well get it over with now.
okay.
Yep.
So Malefic Incantation's a 0 cost, comes in red, yellow, blue, but it only plays blue. In red, it blocks 2, has Go Again. It's an aura, enters the arena with free verse counters on it, and when it has none, you blow it up. And once per turn, when you play an attack action card, you remove a verse counter from this. If you do, create a rune chant. So let's say you go Malefic Incantation, Rune Rager Swarm. Very clearly intentional play. The Rune Rager Swarm will see the rune chant made by the Malefic Incantation. It'll get Go Again. Pretty cool. So next you're like, I'm going to swing my Reaping Blade. So Rune Chant says you've activated the attack ability of a weapon you control. So it triggers. Well, then you have, let's say you pitch the blue, 2 floating. You can use one of that 2 floating to activate your Spellbound Creepers because you've attacked with your Rune Rager Swarm. And then you can play your Deadwood Dirge You have 2 auras out. You have the Malefic Incantation and the Rune Chant token. We're going to not blow up the Malefic Incantation because it has 2 counters on it. We don't want to give up on that guy. We're going to give up the Rune Chant that's about to blow up. So the Rune Chant disappears, and you make free Rune Chants. So then the Rune Chant trigger goes to resolve. It says, destroy a Rune Chant. Oh, and there's no Rune Chant. Well, I'm going to try to the best of my ability to blow up this Rune Chant. Okay, done. Let's deal 1 arcane.
Yep. So the trigger goes on the stack. It's like damage on the stack in Magic.
Yeah.
Which, you know.
And you have an
fun
and
stuff.
you have 1 action point left.
Yep. So there are a lot of weird and stupid things you can do with Spellbound Creepers. My favorite was, I think Trevor mentioned it, when you can channel the Millennium Tree, and you can play your Sigil of Suffering with the Amp 3.
Yeah, bro. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that card yet. We're not Florian yet.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's your favorite Runeblade card?
Well, it's kind of like what we titled the episode after. I really like the art, but I love shouting at my opponent, it's time to suck you, right? And usually, it's funny when I say that, the store just kind of goes silent because they're in awe of the majesty of this card.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, they're all saying, should I please protect my children from this weird man?
So, and you can see the devious smile that this lady's portraying, and that's really what you're telling your opponent. It's time to suck you. So it's a yellow pitch, 0 cost. If you've dealt arcane damage this turn, you may play this as though it were an instant. The next time a Runeblade attack action card you control hits a hero this turn, look at their hand and choose a card. They discard it. Go again. It is a Runeblade action that blocks for 3. Pretty dang good. So there was a time where people just was so afraid of this card that regardless of what arcane damage you got, they would always pitch cards and make sure they didn't have the arcane damage coming through just because of this card.
Yeah, you know how great it feels to watch a guy give up an entire card of 1 arcane because he's terrified of this Succumb to Temptation happening, and then you go Spellbound Creepers, Succumb to Temptation.
And Spellbound Creepers, Succumb to Temptation, it's pretty dang good, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, yeah, this is actually unironically my least favorite Runeblade card. I wish this card was never printed. Don't tell Will I said that.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah, we won't. Yeah, Succumb to Temptation is kind of an interesting card. It's actually kind of interesting. Runeblade actually doesn't have that much disruption. I think, with the exception of Vincent. So there is a yeah, some Runeblades have a lot of good disruption.
These two actually.
They do, yeah, but those aren't Runeblade cards specifically, right? The Earth cards.
Yeah.
But Succumb to Temptation, for instance, in a deck like this, right? Like, this is your disruption, and yes, it is quite a house when it hits. It was worse in LL because it was a 1-of there, and when you get hit by the 1-of Succ, holy crap, that feels that is
Would you say it
so
felt
painful?
Would you say it felt sucky?
Oh, it sucked, all right.
All right. I think Evan's dying inside a little bit. So let's go ahead and talk about the heroes.
You guys have still got that count up.
Oh, jeez, I totally forgot about it.
Bro, I'm hoping we can reach at least like 6-7 on it.
Those kids. Stay until the end of this video. Remind me about a 6-7 story I heard at the gym, and I thought it was funny as hell. But I hate, because I work for the school systems, right? 6-7 is a big thing. It remind me at the end, and people that stick around, you get a little bit of an extra story from me. So let's talk about the specifics.
I'm not going to remind you. Yeah, let's talk about the heroes specifically. Let's go in order of release, and then, of course, the LL'd heroes that aren't relevant in Silver Age we'll probably just like briefly talk about. But yeah, Runeblade is one of the deepest classes, and there are a lot of cards we haven't talked about that are just absolutely busted, but only busted in certain decks. And I guess we can start with Viserai then.
Okay. Yeah, we'll bring him up. And Viserai.
Yeah, Viserai's an interesting hero because Viserai has one of the most broken hero techs in the game. And because of that, they accounted for it in Arcane Rising by making every Arcane Rising Runeblade card, with a couple exceptions, extremely terrible. Later on, they fixed the support cards to make them good, and so Viserai became extremely broken. So he's one of the few heroes that has, well, most of these heroes have LL'd, but he is one of them who has LL'd.
Yeah. So yeah, let's quickly run through the LL Viserai, because that's the only way you could play him. And I know, Andrew, this is what you were playing when we were playing LL in the ProQuest.
Yeah. So yeah. So I think with Viserai, first we should start off with his hero ability here. So whenever you play a Runeblade card, if you've played another non-attack action card this turn, you create a Rune Chain token. So, Ira has a pretty solid hero power that says, your second attack each turn gets +1. Viserai says every card you play in your turn after the first gets +1. And yeah, that's really busted because it means that your 5-card hands scale extremely fast, and
And they scale even faster with Mordred Tide. Let's bring that freaking card up.
Ooh. Yeah, Mordred Tide. It's just a red, block-free, 0-cost go again, Runeblade action. Until in a turn, if you create a Rune Chain token, it could create that many +1. So this just says, basically, deal 2 damage instead of 1 damage every time this turn. Yeah. The best turns with Viserai usually started with Mordred Tide, and then they'd quickly be followed by breaking another busted piece of equipment called Bloodchief Skeleton. If you pull that up, Will.
Dude, we've actually go back and listen to this because I did not realize Ning was like he could not fathom what was going on, so he just kind of checked out. He trusted you, Andrew. But I was like, dude, you gotta tell me this because I didn't realize how good this was. All right, Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's a block 2 chest piece with temper. So you have to know it's like the same thing as Dyadic Carapace. Why would you ever play this over Arcane Barrier 2? And the answer is because it has this cool instant ability. You pop it, the next attack action card and non-attack action card you play this turn gain. This card costs 1 less to play for each rune chant you control. Maybe saying that's cool and all, but how big can an attack really get? Or a non-attack? Well, how about we read Sonata Arcanics here, because it has a cool little cool little clause called XX, which means you determine what it is. So this is a red Runeblade action, block 2, costs XX, and you reveal the top X plus free cards of your deck. So the way this works is you say what X is when you play the card. So the answer is usually 0 or whatever the biggest number Bloodchief Skeleton lets you say.
Yeah.
And then you reveal that many plus free cards. And then for each non-attack action card revealed this way, you put an attack action card revealed this way into your hand. Jesus. And then you deal arcane damage to target hero equal to the number of cards put into your hand this way. And then you shuffle your deck and banish.
So Andrew has said a lot of words. I'm going to simplify those words for you. All right. Basically, when your opponent has, let's say, 10 rune chants out and they pop their Skeletta, this card is going to deal 5 arcane damage to you, and your opponent is going to draw 5 cards, and it's going to be very, very cool.
Yeah.
And I know you're wearing the Bucky's kind of overflow cloth thing because when we explain the Bloodchief Skeleton Sonata Galaxy thing, I know you just kind of get that boner for it, I mean,
yeah,
I get it.
Anyway, so Viserai, we're not going to spend too much time because he's an LL'd hero, but in LL, this was the broken thing he could do. Bloodchief Skeletta was banned, so in CC, he could not do that, but he was very good at just being sort of a very, very powerful aggro deck. Viserai's ability just sort of in combination with his ability to just create a bunch of rune chants. He plays all the rune chant attack actions that cost less based on the number of rune chants you control. Deadwood Dirge, cards like that. Yeah. Those help him sort of be an extremely powerful deck in CC. So he LL'd.
Yeah.
And
what's the next hero?
Oh,
next up has to be Chain.
Yeah.
Oh man, people should know what he's been doing. He's been taking a storm in Sage, but we're not talking about Sage, or I guess we can.
We'll talk a bit about Sage, but Chain it's tough to say. There have been a lot of broken heroes printed in Flesh and Blood, but I think every conversation about who is the most broken hero should include Chain, because Chain is absolutely insane.
Really? What does he do?
So he's a Shadow Runeblade hero of 40 health. Once per turn action, you create a Soul Shackle token. And your next Runeblade or Shadow action this turn gains go again. Action. So it works on non-attack actions. It works on weapon attacks, attack actions. And what is a Soul Shackle? Because this ability is so broken, Soul Shackle is probably some negative ability.
Well, it's in the reminder text if you read it.
Oh, okay. Well, so a Soul Shackle is at the beginning of your action phase, you banish the top card of your deck. So your deck gets milled. Yeah, that's such a big downside. Except Shadow Heroes have this ability called Blood Debt, which, you know, banish cards will force you to take damage. Wow, another big downside. But the big issue is all these Blood Debt cards can be played from your banish zone. So, you know, you banish a card off the top of your deck and you can play it, meaning Chain's ability is essentially card draw and go again attached on a hero that you can do every turn for no cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, I think the biggest Blood Debt card that Chain was synonymous with was Seeds of Agony. Because this is a card you read and you're like, why on earth would this card have ever been banned? So here we have the red version. So it's just a 0 cost go again, Blood Debt. You may play it from your band. The next attack action card with cost 2 or less you play this turn gains deal 1 arcane damage to target hero. The yellow says cost 1 or less. The blue cost 0. So this card's really good when you never have to actually have it cost a card, and it just says, I dealt 1 damage to my opponent for free.
Yeah.
You'll also...
well, this card in combination with what's the card that gets plus power equal to the non-attacks?
Oh, Riftbind?
Riftbind with this card was absolutely insane. I remember in late games of Chain.
Yeah,
so.
Riftbind was 1 for free, 3 block with Blood Debt. In red, you may play it from your banish zone, and if you do, it gains plus X for X's number of non-attack action cards you have played this turn. So you'd have people like play like 4 or 5 like Seeds of Agony in a single turn, and then go activate Chain, Riftbind for like 7, 8.
You know, it's interesting because I don't think people, I'm going to restate this now. They're talking about Seeds of Agony and Riftbind, and they're both Rainbow Suites, right? So red, yellow, blue, red, yellow, blue. So.
Yeah. And in Living Legend, this isn't even the Chain variant that people play because some other
and in Silver Age they don't do it either. In Silver Age,
Silver Age, why don't you pull up Phantom Wraith for the crowd, because we're gonna have to talk about this when we get to Vincent anyway. So Phantom Wraith is another rainbow card we got. Costs 2, blocks free, red's for 6, yellow's for 5, blue is for 4, and it has an ability called Runegate. And if Will would pull it up, I could read what Runegate does, because I don't have that text exactly memorized.
I cannot know how to spell Phantom Wraith.
Bantom.
Type in Runegate. Any Runegate card will do.
Oh, Phantom Banshee. Close enough. Anyway, so yeah, Runegate says, if you control rune chance equal to or greater than this card's resource cost, you may play it from your banish zone without paying its resource cost. So, you know, you remember earlier how I was talking about, like, Deadwood Dirge? So, like, the main reason why Deadwood Dirge is banned is because people are using Deadwood Dirge to eat their soul shackles, turn them into rune chants, and then go activate Chain, Phantom Wraith for 6 go again. And that was a 1-card 9 move go again.
Jesus.
Yeah. It was really messed up.
In essence, when Chain originally came out, they designed the cards that you could play from Banish to be bad if played from hand, right? So, like, they were pretty underrate cards, but like they were underrate if you played them from hand. They were super overrate when you just got them for free. Runegate cards, on the other hand, were designed to be sort of on rate, and when you combine these sort of on rate to above rate cards with they are free, you get them for free from your soul shackles, it becomes incredibly broken. So
yeah.
Runegate Chain is currently tearing up the Silver Age meta right now. I would expect a ban sometime later on when Silver Age becomes a more proper format, let's say. And that is the reason why Deadwood Dirge has seen so many bans, just because, like, I would still argue on its own Deadwood Dirge is nothing impressive. Like, it's a very powerful card, but in combination with cards like Runegate Chain, Deadwood Dirge becomes insane. So
yeah, and if you disagree with him, please make sure to leave a comment below. I will be doing so later. Deadwood Dirge earned it.
Whoa.
So Chain,
I'm right.
Chain
is good.
Who was next after Chain? Was it had to be Briar, right?
It was Briar.
Yeah, it was Briar.
Yeah, so Will, can you pull up Briar, Warden of Thorns, and you'll know.
So remember.
Okay, can you please pull up one of text?
Remember how we talked about how Chain was, like, you can argue that Chain was one of the most broken heroes of all time. Briar is the most broken hero of all time, full stop, because they actually had to errata her.
Chain was still beating her. Come on, okay, don't shit off my boy Chain like that.
Briar was so powerful that they had to change the text on her hero in order to make her less good, in order to like make her balanced, and even after that she was still like a top hero.
They broke their own rule then. I thought they said they would never try to errata text on a hero's
This is
card.
the only time it's ever happened.
No
It's
shit.
the only time. Yep.
I don't think I realized that. Is the errata on this card here?
Yeah, would you like to
Okay.
read through the rest of the class?
Briar, Warden of Thorns. And might I suggest that she was the first powerful redhead, right, that's came out, right?
Dash
It's
was
a-
the first one, let's be real.
Who
Yeah.
was? Dash.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, Dash was like a scourge when she came out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
she
first
was very
time
good.
Back in
The
my
first
day.
time an attack action card you control deals damage to an opposing hero each turn, create an embodiment of Earth token. So your action cards get +1 defense. The second time you play, your non-attack action. The second time you play a non-attack action card each turn, create an embodiment of lightning token. Your next attack gets go again. You what?
And you destroy the next attack action card you play gets go again, and you destroy the embodiment of lightning.
Yeah.
It doesn't work on weapons.
Yeah.
Fair. The essence of Earth and Lightning. So you can have Earth and Lightning cards in your deck.
Yeah. And the
So
embodiment of
if you
Earth's
were wondering,
by the way.
yeah, if you were wondering what the errata is, the first time you would deal damage part was not there. So it was whenever you dealt damage with an attack action, create an embodiment of Earth. That was the original text. And so you could build up like 4, 5, 6 embodiment of Earth tokens, and then just like
Oh.
one card block things. It was kind of insane.
So
Yeah,
good.
Because-
no, that was a mistake.
It was a mistake because it specifically says deal damage. So for
Yeah.
instance, if you do split damage, like if you have a card that's like deal 4 damage and 1 arcane damage,
Mhm.
if the arcane hits and the physical hits, you get 2 embodiments.
Oh.
Yeah. So you would
Dang.
run cards like Sting of Sorcery, which like gives arcane damage to all your attack actions. And also Ball Lightning existed at this time.
Yep.
So the sort of split damage was even more busted. So Briar was a really, really broken hero. They had to errata her. Her weapon was absolutely insane. Her other weapon got banned before the set came out. Yeah, Tales of Aria is one of my
What was the
favorite
set?
sets of all time.
I know they cooked with that one.
Dude, Lexi is from it. My
Yeah.
girl.
Lexi is sexy, bro.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Riptide is bae.
Riptide's
Yeah.
got the dad bod, guys. Look, I know I talk about females being beautiful, but hey, Riptide's a guy. And he's very chestly and manly.
I mean, he's no Betsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all thick in
So-
the good ways. 2 C's, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
So I think like the biggest thing to talk about with Briar is specifically Shadow Mount Heroic, because this was like Briar's primary anti-fatigue tool. So Shadow Mount Heroic is a block-free Earth non-attack action. Costs free, it's red, has go again. Attack action cards you control have +3. At the beginning of your end phase, you put a flow counter on it, then destroy it unless you put an Earth card from your picture zone on the bottom of your deck for each flow counter on it. So what you would do with Briar is you would go Shadow Mount Heroic, and then the rest of your deck was blue Earth cards to keep it around, and 0 cost attack action cards to play after you played Channel Mount Heroic.
Yeah. She basically was like a lightning deck, right? Like 0 for 4 go again deck that ran a couple blues and Channel Mount Heroic to make them 0 for 7 go agains. So that was pretty busted.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
she's pretty fast.
She did not actually. It took a long time, and she barely made it over the line by being.
Yeah,
a
she
super
kind of
petite
limped
gel.
over the line.
Oh,
It
interesting.
was actually really funny. Yeah. And then
All
another thing that was pretty cool about her is her specialization, Force of Nature. It's a 0 cost, block free blue non-attack action that says Earth Fusion. So as initial cost to play this, you can reveal an Earth card from your hand. And until end of turn, whenever an attack action card you control hits this turn, if it has power greater than its base, you draw a card. And if it was fused, next attack this turn gets +1. That's a lot of words. So what this says is, if you play this and you have Shadow Mount Heroic out, and your opponent ever lets you hit with an attack, they've lost the game.
Yeah.
And
So was-
also, it
so
blocks
was
4
Force-
with an embodiment of Earth.
wow. Was Force of
Yeah.
Nature banned, or was it still active until she left?
That was always around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like this card like reads a lot better than it actually plays, I will say.
It's a bit magical Christmas land to have both of them line up, but it is possible, and when it happens, you will enjoy being in magical Christmas land.
Fantastic.
So yeah, Briar's a good hero. She's got a bit of a presence in Sage. She's not quite one of the top decks, but like she's pretty decent. So keep an eye on her in Sage.
In Silver Age, the main thing about her is she actually plays Aurora's weapon, Starfall. So we pull that up. This is a 1-cost 2-handed sword. It comes in for 1, but if you played a lightning card this turn, it gets +1 and go again, and it just costs 1 to swing. And so literally, like, this is just like what you do if you need hand extension in Silver Age. It's not even like your game plan is to swing this as few times as possible, unless you have like a way to generate resources with like Blossom of Spring or Bloodthorn Box.
In Sage, she's kind of 0 for 4 go again dot deck, to be honest. So
yeah, like literally,
you just
it's
don't get Channel Mount
40 red cards sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair.
But so there's Briar.
I
this
know
was like
I'm sorry, Evan. Go ahead.
I was gonna say this was like the heyday of Runeblade. This was when Runeblade was at its most broken. They literally released Chain into Briar in back-to-back sets. So Runeblade went from being absolutely broken to being even more broken. And then they cooled off for a long time.
So
some
Evan,
might say they cooled off too much with the next hero we're talking about.
But didn't Vincent
transition? But you
yeah, but didn't
He wasn't ready yet.
didn't Vincent come out with Chain?
No,
Vincent was the Chain replacement.
Yeah, so you see, what ended up
you didn't know that?
Is,
I did not. I thought they came out together.
Legend.
And, no, so Chain and the new
2022.
Prism were from Dusk Till Dawn, and they were the replacements for old Prism and old Chain.
Okay.
And that's why Vincent sucks, because they were very scared of making another Chain.
Yeah.
She doesn't. She just is not as. She plays a lot of Succ, sure, but she's playable.
This is one of the worst heroes ever printed in Flesh and Blood.
You do so well with her, though.
Probably put more time into trying to make Vincent playable than a lot of people, and she is not.
Well, so I guess we could talk about her in CC capacity, because it seems like pretty soon she'll be the only CC hero available to play.
Actually, that's probably...
Yep. So what's her text box say, Will?
So Vincent, Iron Maiden, Pineapple is her safe word. At the start of your turn, banish a card from your hand. If you do, create a rune chant token. So you're starting the turn with 3 cards in your hand. Okay. Whenever you play a shadow, non-attack extra card, you may pay a life. If you do, the next rune chant effect that would deal damage this turn can't be prevented. She's a Shadow Runeblade hero, and the rest is your static. So 4 intellect, 40 health.
So while Chain basically gets an ability that gives him extra cards every turn and gives him more go again, Vincent gets the opposite. She gets an ability that gives her fewer cards than all other heroes per turn.
Makes the rune chant.
She does make a rune chant, and that is pretty cool.
Yeah, she gets the rune gate.
Yeah, and
yeah, she's built around RuneGate cards, and RuneGate, in essence, like, they're disruptive attacks that we sort of mentioned. You play from Banished Zone for free as long as you control enough rune chants. If you can bring up any RuneGate card,
I recommend Deathly Whale.
Deathly Whale is a good one. That's kind of the key Vincent card.
Yeah, so remember earlier how we were talking about Malefic Incantation and Phantom Wraith? One of the strongest things you can do with Vincent, as dumb as it sounds, is you send some attack action card, make a rune chant. Next turn, block of free cards, banish a Phantom Wraith, send 8. And like that's insane sounding math. Like, let's assume you blocked 9 with your free cards, and like then you sent 8. You're like, oh my god, that's a 4-card 17. How can this hero suck? It sucks still.
Yeah, the problem with Vincent, because let's not get it twisted, Vincent actually does have good matchups. The problem with Vincent is that Vincent's bad matchups are any hero that can pitch for Arcane Barrier and also block. So like she's pretty good into something like Syndra that can't stop the arcane damage and doesn't like blocking. She's less good into any and all guardians that can just completely stop all damage that she wants to send.
Yeah, I think it's a hard matchup against any guardian, just period. But also any hero that has mostly blocking values in their deck, if they decide early enough just to block out the on hits, they could really. Her biggest weakness is that she could be fatigued very easily, and you can even make that decision almost like 2 or 3 turns into the game if it's not going really well for you in some cases. So, yeah, that's always
Yeah,
the
so
issue with
Vincent's
it.
unfortunately not a great hero right now, and every time they give her additional tools, Chain gets better. Like Cull was insane. They had
Yeah.
Oh,
to
in my head. Don't
restrict
talk about that one yet.
Cull. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
but
So you may have noticed about Vincent's hero ability that you can, like, pay life to make a rune chant unpreventable, which sounds really, really lame. Because, sure, if your opponent has, like, ward out, that's really good. But, chances are your opponent doesn't have it. But Vincent actually has a sub-theme of life loss, where her cards get better equal to the number of heroes who have lost life this turn. So definitely well here, for example, it's just a 3/6 block free in red, 5 in yellow, 4 in blue. It has Runegate, Blood Debt, and whenever the combat chain closes, you can create rune chant tokens equal to the number of heroes who have lost life this turn. So something you can do is play like a Shadow Dawn attack action with Go Again, and then play Deathly Wail after using Vincent's ability. And suddenly your opponent has to take the arcane, you've lost a life, and suddenly this Deathly Wail's made 2 rune chants, and so next turn you don't have to worry about not having enough rune chants to play Runegate next turn. Because if you, as Vincent, go banish a Blood Debt card, pass, lose 1 life. But oh yeah, we never talked about Blood Debt having downsides. Evan just like said
I mentioned the downside.
No, you're like, yeah, this card just says you draw cards. At the end of your turn, you lose a life if you have a Blood Debt card advantage.
Yeah,
It's
you
pretty
lose a
big
life.
downside.
It's a downside, but I would lose a life if I got extra cards,
Yeah, you say that until that Deathly Wail's been banned 5 turns
That's
straight.
true. I do remember watching Vincent versus New, and the New just like banishes like a bunch of cards, and the Vincent just dies to Blood Debt.
Funny enough, Evan, that was me and Paul's game.
I
That's
know.
exactly what happened. Anyways,
so
pretty good. And you want to cover Cole real quick with her because this is a power card for her. This is one of the reasons why you keep on coming back, like Charlie Brown kicking that football, playing Vincent, even though you say she's a sucky hero. Cole, it's a red pit, 0 cost. Shadow Runeblade action card that blocks for 3. You may play this from your banish zone. If a hero has lost life this turn, you may play this as though it was an instant. Each hero banishes a card from their hand. It has Blood Debt. It seems pretty good.
It's really broken in Chain.
I mean, this card is just actually broken. Like,
Yeah.
even in Vincent, this is the reason to play Vincent. Yeah. Like, you can literally go, like, play a Shadow non-attack action, activate Vincent's ability. Play an attack. After your opponent takes that first rune chant, you just call them and just take a card from their hand.
Yep.
And if you have nothing in hand, it doesn't care.
Yep.
And sometimes you have a thing in hand and you get to put it in your banish zone.
Yeah, sometimes
for
it's
Blood
a good thing to banish your Blood Debt because, it's a second rune gate they're going to be able to play because your first attack was a Deathly Wail.
Yeah.
So it's Funeral Moon, which has a very similar text box, but instead of banishing a card, it creates a rune chant token.
Yep.
And then another thing, too, is the ability to play them as an instant is very good in conjunction with Eloquence tokens, which are something that has access to. Eloquence tokens are just an aura that says when you play an non-attack action card, destroy this, and the next card gets and that card gets Go Again. So if you play your Cole as an instant with an Eloquence out, now that Cole has Go Again, it's being played as an instant, so then it costs you an action point, so it netted you an action point.
It basically just works like Spellbound Creepers at that point.
Yeah. And
Vincent has ways to make Eloquence tokens.
She has 2 ways. We have Grimoire of the Haunt, which is
More
an
than
offhand with Arcane Barrier 1, and you can just pay 1, banish it, create an Eloquence token, has Blood Debt. So, it's very hard for your opponent to play around the idea that at any point you can just pop this, get Go Again, do something with Cole. You also have Eloquent Eulogy, which is a rune gate that costs 1, blocks free, is red, attacks for 4, Blood to end. When the combat chain closes, if heroes lost life this turn, create Eloquence token. Only creates 1, doesn't let you make 2, sadly.
And then it's also, I think when this card came out in Misspell, a lot of people were like, Vincent's fixed. And they realized it's good, but not that great.
Yeah.
So it is a good enhancement piece because that Eloquence does pay off if things line up. And Funeral Moon Cole is very easy to get the Eloquence token off, get it as an instant, have the extra point. So this is not so magical Christmas line. This actually happens a lot in different games.
Yeah. And then I think the last thing I want to talk about for sure for Vincent is her weapon, Flail of Agony, because Grimoire of the Haunt sounds pretty cool, but it's an offhand, so you have to play a one-handed weapon. So Flail of Agony is her specialization, so Shiana can play it. It's just once per turn action, pay 1 life, attack, and on hit create a rune champ token. So
Hmm.
this is a 0-cost weapon. You don't have to give up any resources for it.
Except the
And,
And it
life.
synergizes with all the rune gate cards that we mentioned.
Yeah, and it causes self-harm. And we're anti-self-harm on this podcast. But Vince, something about that face, she encourages self-harm.
Yeah. You think that blood on the floor agonies from her opponents? Heck no. She whipped herself. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, she's
So,
into ritualistic flogging.
I
yeah.
think we should move on.
Yeah, so next
Alright.
We
so
get to
next-
get to the good heroes.
Yeah, so we had a bit of a lull again. We went over an entire year, and then in September 2024, we got Rosetta, the first set to feature arcane damage in a very, very long time. Yeah, Aurora's cool and all. I actually want to talk about Florian first because he's
Florian?
treating me.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
You just want to keep the theme? Okay. We'll go
Yeah,
Florian.
we're talking about CC. Might as well keep it up with CC.
What I like
So
about
Florian, Rotwood Harbinger, just one of the most recent callings. We're talking about this in Akihabara. So he has Essence of Earth, and says if there are 8 or more Earth cards in your banished zone, Florian gets if you would create 1 or more Aura tokens. Instead, create that many plus 1 of each of those tokens.
Hmm.
Now you may be saying, how do I get Earth tokens and Earth cards in banished? That's really hard. Well, the answer for that is Felling of the Crown and the Decompose mechanic. So we'll show off Felling of the Crown here.
Yep.
This is kind of one of my favorite cards. So Felling of the Crown, free block, free cost red, attacks for 4. But if there are 4 more Earth cards in your banished zone, it gets +4. And it has Decompose. What Decompose means is when you play the card, you can banish 2 Earth cards and an action card from your graveyard to get a special bonus effect. So Felling of the Crown's bonus effect is each hero puts a card from their hand on the bottom of their deck. So the trick with Florian is you don't have a card in your hand and your opponent does. So this is just a free for 8 that takes a card from your opponent's hand.
pretty
You
good.
may be saying you need 4 more Earth cards for it, though. How do you get 4 Earth cards? That means the first one's going to come in for 4. And while that's sometimes true, you also have Cadaverous Tilling, which is free for 6.
I'm glad you didn't say Rootbound Carapace.
Because it's banned.
Yep.
Which just, decomposes, gets +2. But, it gets a lot better when it has the text box of saying your next Felling of the Crown gets +4. And then
So real quick for people out there, just to be clear, Florian's text box, it's 8 Earth cards in banished. It's not 8 Earth cards in graveyard, because I know some people might get that confused.
So, historically, the reason why we started this cast is because I realized I had an issue, right? And I wanted to get better at the game. And my issue was reading the cards.
Yeah.
And did I tell you guys, it was a year after I started playing that I realized that I actually mirror the opponent on equipment and deck and graveyard. I don't do opposite sides. So even to this day, I put my equipment on the right and my deck on the left. Anyways, Cadaverous Tilling, and of course, there's always that Plow Under, so there is a little bit of disruption.
Yeah, Plow Under is just a 2 for 2 in yellow. It gets +4 if you have 4 more Earths, and when you decompose it, each hero puts a card from their arsenal on the bottom of their deck. So this is the form of arsenal disruption you get.
And then this also, because I wanted to mention this, is not a Runeblade card specifically, but Trot Along does give Plow Under Go Again. So
yeah, it also gives Reaping Blade Go Again, which is the primary weapon Florian uses. And then in Living Legend now, because LSS hates Florian, we have Rootbound Carapace, which is just a defense reaction that's a 0 for free in red, but decomposes to get +1 block.
Yeah. And typically you'd
Rootbound
play
was one of the
sets.
strongest.
Yeah.
One of the strongest defense reactions in the game, especially in combination with the cards that care about decomposing. But yeah, Florian's a very strong hero. Once you get turned on, you can play really degenerate things like your Grasp of the Arknight now makes 2 rune chants. Cards like Arcanite Seeds, which would make 1 rune chant twice, now make 4 rune chants.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the big one of Germinate, the big specialization, doubles up the number of rune chants you make there. And you can make 10, 12, 14, 16 rune chants.
There we go.
Yeah, Germinate is... This is sort of like if you're playing a late game type of deck, you need to... and you're playing against a Florian, you need to figure out how the hell do I beat Germinate, because stacking Germinates is a good way to just win the game.
Yeah.
So Would the anti-fatigue tool be you just pitch stack Germinate to the very end, or pit it back in your deck with the Everbloom, and then just block out your opponent, or take the damage if you want, and then Germinate over and over and over again until you stack up enough rune chance?
I mean, Germinate also gains life, so
Yeah.
like you can just sometimes, like, if you have the life, you can just take a bunch of damage, gain a bunch of life, make like, I don't know, 10 tokens, and then what's your opponent gonna do, right?
Yeah.
And if they play defensive in anticipation of the big amount of rune chance, you just do it again.
Yeah, like one of Florian's big like late game plays is Germinate X equals free, make 8 rune chance, gain 4 life, Arsenal Germinate next turn, X equals 6. Next turn, like Arcane Seeds falling up the crown, you've lost.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, Florian is kind of the ultimate mid-range to control deck.
We lovingly call him the best guardian. Anyways.
That's Pleiades apparently now. One last little thing we can talk about with Florian is in Living Legend, he is a lot more cringe because he doesn't actually attack the opponent. What he does is he plays this card called Channel Millennium Tree, which is like Channel Mount Heroic, but instead of giving your attacks plus free, it just says once it enters the arena or at the start of your action phase, amp free. So your next time you do Arcane this turn, you deal that much plus free. And play that in conjunction with Scepter of Pain, which is a weapon, two-handed weapon. Actually, that's a one-handed weapon, I forgot.
It is one-handed, yeah.
Yeah, you just pay 2, deal 1 arcane damage to any opposing target, and create a range chance token for each damage dealt this way. So Channel Millennium Tree, you throw 4 arcane at your opponent, you make 4 range chance, and then you do it again next turn, and then you just throw a big attack at your opponent. And like this deck, can very easily also go Bloodchief Skeleton, Germinate for like a huge number. They can also like play like a Mordred Tide before they do that to get really, really big.
It's pretty cringe.
Was a very problematic deck in CC, and thank God they banned it.
Yeah, and there's a reason why before they banned the Scepter of Pain and they flipped over Florian, you don't get exposure to the weapons first. You had to make the card. They physical or they blocking you out. And sometimes the cringe play was the Scepter of Pain. Sometimes that was a better play at that time. To reinforce the fact, since this is not a weapon attack, it's not triggering your rune blades. You can stack your rune chance. This is stacking your rune chance, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All
and
right.
It was very cringe. So yeah, let's talk about the other hero, Aurora.
Final one, Aurora.
My dear.
The girl that's less of a Runeblade than a Cilio.
Actually, that's probably true. Yeah. So Aurora is a very simple hero.
You can stop changing her.
Yeah, maybe we can read her for a second.
This is very schizophrenic. I can't handle it.
Essentially, once per turn instant, you can pay 2 resources, create an embodiment of lightning token. You can only do it if you've played a lightning card this turn. Very simple. If you recall, embodiment of lightning tokens, just give your next attack action go again. So having one around is pretty nice when you're sort of a go wide aggro deck, and that's sort of what Aurora was, right? Aurora sort of went along the lines of Briar, didn't have channel Mount Heroic, so it was more just 0 for 4 go again deck.
And what were you guys saying about
anyway? So Aurora has some pretty cool cards in her text pool. So while she can't play Channel Mount Heroic, one thing she can play is Channel Lightning Valley. So Channel Lightning Valley is a yellow 0 cost instant. It doesn't block because back in those days they didn't print instant cards that block before Super Slam changed everything. And it just says the first time you deal. That's Channel Thunderstep. That's the wrong card. Channel Lightning Valley. The first time you deal damage to an opposing hero each turn, draw a card. You'll note this says each turn, by the way. And also,
we talked about a little card called
Sigil of Suffering.
Sigil of Suffering, yeah. So if you Sigil of Suffering your opponent with Channel Lightning Valley up and they take the arcane damage, not only are you getting 5 value out of the Sigil of Suffering, you are also drawing a card
on your opponent's turn. Jesus.
Yeah.
On your opponent's turn.
I hated that combo.
Yeah, you'd see people play like Spell Void Blind Equipment in their deck for Channel Lightning Valley specifically.
So yeah, Channel Lightning Valley is definitely one of the big power cards. I think the other one definitely to note is Arc Lightning. Arc Lightning is a very fun card. That's a good question. And it's an Aurora specialization, and whenever you go again this turn, deal 1 arcane damage to any target. Thank you, Will, for making this less readable. And then the next action card you play this turn gets go again. So It also counts itself. So anytime you get go again, you deal 1 arcane damage.
Yeah.
And that triggers off anything. For instance, Grasp of the Arknight. Grasp of the Arknight has go again, so it will trigger this. And this was comboed with everybody's favorite card. Wait, what's it called? Flicker Wisp.
Yeah. Flicker Wisp is just a 0 cost of lightning fusion. If it was fused until end of turn, action of card effects you control deal arcane damage and still deal that much arcane damage plus 1, and then would deal 1 arcane damage to target hero. So you'd go Flicker
Wisp.
Wisp.
Does work on the Arc Lightning effect, yeah.
Yeah, so you'd go Flicker Wisp, fuse Arc Lightning, play Arc Lightning, or do it the other way around too, depending on how the hand wants to go. And
then now every time you go again, you're dealing 2 arcane damage instead of 1.
Yeah,
so
it went really far. You can see, I believe, Worlds Osaka, Mercy Bickle was playing this deck to pretty good effect if you ever want to see it in action.
Yeah, that's a lot of just good damage on her too, consistent. And then on the D-React side, it was tough. I mean, and they made it easily accessible, and they did the whole nice reprint on that misprint on that card. So,
yeah.
Oh my God, Skyward Serenade! I still cannot believe that happened.
Yeah, I can't believe James White admitted it happened.
Yeah, that was really funny. So, fun fact about this card for those who don't know: Skyward Serenade, very very strong card.
That's about 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Evan wasn't there. He didn't watch that one.
Of course I did. I watch every episode.
But we cover so much content, it's easy to misplace information. I get it, yeah.
So for those real quick who don't know, Go Again was originally supposed to be a choice here in one of these choose 2. So this was a bit of a problem card. This skyrocketed Aurora to being like the top deck, bar none basically, and she LL'd very, very quickly.
Yeah. So, okay, I mean, guys, this was a huge cast this time. A lot of information. I could tell the passion from you two geeking out over the Runeblades. I like Runeblades. I felt like it was one of the classes that you could really grow into a lot. The more you find out these little nuances, and I feel like it's a pretty fair class with the recent CC heroes. Because of course I started out on Vincent, then went over to Florian.
Fair class. I mean,
it's a fairly good class.
Yeah, I was about to say that over half these heroes, we were like, you can't play this hero. It's LL already.
We haven't talked about Rosetta Forn or Duskblade.
Yeah, so I guess we have a little section here of what's a recommended Runeblade for players to start with. Did they want to pick up Runeblade today?
The only one that's going to be legal like a week after this episode drops at this rate.
That's probably true, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's January 15th, 2026, and Vincent will be the only Runeblade hero as of right now. Now, I know Compendium's coming out, and the set after that will be Monarch 3, so they have to because, it's Vincent. She needs a little bit more help, right?
Please no.
How about Shane 2?
Or they might just bring out Viscerai again, like they did Prism.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'd like Viscerai too.
Yeah, so unfortunately for CC, like, as they said, Vincent's probably your only long-term playable Runeblade because Florian's about to go too.
Boy, will she last a long time.
And she is gonna last a long time. I'll tell you what. But in Pen, right, Chain is pretty good right now, and they are creating a compendium, one of the pre-con decks for Viscerai. So I'm assuming they expect Viscerai to be a good hero in Pen or in Sage. And we talked about Briar as well. So there are good options in Sage if you are thinking of playing Runeblade in CC. I mean, Vincent is not a very good hero, but she's a very fun hero, and she can definitely win against certain decks. So if you're interested in her, I'm not against checking her out.
Would you say that Vincent suffers in a slower format?
I think she suffers in a format in general.
She had
playing her.
the Aurora format was supposed to be like her best format, and I guess technically it was, and she was not a top deck. She was like a C tier deck in that format, and that was her best performance yet.
Yeah, actually, I played Vincent.
That's pretty cool.
I played Vincent for a long time because I really liked the way the Runeblade was playing. And I carried her until our first ProQuest that year, and I think I bubbled out, right? So it wasn't a bad showing, it was a showing. A lot of it was fatigue generated, right? So that was the first time I was close. So I was like, oh, I could probably top 8 one of these things, right? She's fun. but you're going to definitely understand the pain points of a Runeblade. So if you're interested in Runeblade in anticipation of coming out with the next Runeblade, should probably be a good thing to pick up. The Runeblade cards, once Florian goes, will see a decrease in price. It's not financial advice. This is speculation. But yeah, so in closing, Runeblades overall don't suck, but they play suck. All right,
What could a man ask for?
two right there, right? I'm gonna have to run this in when I listen to it again and see how many times we said that here. But yeah, I mean, you guys all had a breadth of knowledge here.
But before we go, Will, I have a question.
What's up?
You told me to ask you about a 6-7 story. Can you please explain to the rest of the class about the 6-7?
This episode was so long. I was hoping you would forget, Andrew.
I actually wrote it down. I totally forgot too. All right, so thank you, Andrew. I'll make this real quick for the sake of brevity. It started back in 1983 when I was bored. I'm just joking. So I was actually at the gym working out. I work out. There's locker room, showers, the whole works. And the worst thing I hate is these little kids taking up the locker rooms, right, and taking up space. But it's like probably 8-year-olds. And this kid was telling a story saying, yeah, you know, I used to say 6-7. People shouted back all the time. I think 6-7 is dying, right? And his friends were like, yeah, I see the same thing. I shouted 6-7 the first night. Everyone shouted 6-7 with me. Today I shouted 6-7. No one said it back. And then his friend was like, you know what? 6-7 might come back in 2067. No, that's the story. But here's the thing. From a kid, like 8 years old, that's funny as hell. Right? I don't want to.
That's such a sad story that 6-7 is dying. Can we get some 6-7s in chat?
Oh no, man! Remember
comment
21?
down below 6-7.
You know, yeah, it's one of those things. But I was like, these little kids, man, they got some wit about them. That's pretty hilarious. All right, you can find us Discord midnight_day11 if you need to reach us. We also got a Gmail, guys, and we're on Reddit now. Tunic Counter Gamers. We actually can contact us sometimes.
First I've heard of this.
I forget to mention it, but yeah, tuniccountergamers@gmail.com. Yeah, I forgot. What can I say? And until next time, remember, every turn is a decision. Every decision is a story. Don't forget your damn Tunic Counter.